Gopijana Giri Bharadhaji
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari
Gopijana Vallabha Giri Bharadhaji
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari
Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vrinana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jaya Randu Madhava Kunya Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radhu Madhava Kunya Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravidacharya, also Teta Sutashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Sabaya Chaitanya Bhagavat Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadha, Shri Vasudhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sayamakunda, Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Maturnam Ki Jai, Jagannathaswami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale. Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi. Gaurvani Pacharni Nivase Krishna Paschacha Deja Tarni. So we are continuing our reading from the Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And yesterday we heard a lot of ecstatic pastimes dealing with Vaishnava etiquette and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's interactions with Advaita Acharya. So I guess we should do Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai. So now we are going to share the screen. Hopefully this works. And there we go. Okay. Let me just move this one chat window in case someone has a heart attack while we're... You never know. I mean, it happens sometimes. Someone has an emergency. Guru Maharaj, you love me. from the Chaitanya Bhagavat and Madhya. So text 141. The Lord, who is the reservoir of transcendental qualities, personally explained through the Vedas the rules for offering foods. Wow. Wait a second, I got to put the mouse in the right place. It's a little complicated there. You can't do the whole thing. Don't worry. He does not accept anything unless it is offered according to those rules. All right, you want to hear the rules? Prabhupada gave it. Okay, here we go. So, try to understand that Srila Prabhupada has reduced everything for our benefit. The rules for offering food to the Lord are explained as follows. One should chant the mantra, Astraya, Pat, while sprinkling water on the offering, protecting it by executing the chakra mudra. Let's see a chakra mudra. Something like that, yeah. Thereafter, one should dip his finger into water and chant the Vayu Bija, Yam, 10 times. And sprinkle that water on the offering. After purifying the dryness of the offering by this process, one should mentally place a Vani Bija, Ram, within the palm of his right hand, and with his left hand below the right hand, displaying it before the offering. Ram. With the fire arising from this, one should mentally burn the dryness of the offering. Thereafter, one should mentally place an Amrita Bija, Tam, within his left palm. Thank God for Prabhupada. Then with the right hand below the left, display this before the offering. One should then sprinkle the nectar arising from this mudra on the offering. After that, one should sprinkle the previously purified water on the offering, while chanting the Mula mantra and considering that the entire offering is nectar. Then, touching the offering with one's right hand, one should chant the Mula mantra 8 times. After that, while executing the Denu mudra. What's the Denu mudra? I don't know that one at all. Anyway, that's the cow mudra. One should consider that the offering is complete, and one should worship that offering along with Srihari with ingredients such as water and sandalwood paste. Thereafter, taking a handful of flowers, one should worship Srihari and pray as follows. O Lord, let fire emanate from your lotus mouth to accept this offering. Thereafter, one should consider that fire is emanating from the Lord's mouth and contacting the offering. Then, touching the offering with one's left hand and taking water with sandalwood pulp and flowers in one's right hand, and after chanting the Mula mantra ending in Swaha, one should chant Shri Krishnaya idam navedyam kalpaya me, and throw the water with sandalwood pulp and flowers from his right hand to the ground. Thereafter, one should offer the foodstuffs with tulsi to the Lord with appropriate mantras. The mantra for offering foods to the Lord is Navedayami Bhavate Jishanenam Avirharer. Then chanting the mantra Amrito Pashturanam Asi Swaha, one should appropriately offer water to the Lord for cleansing his hands and mouth and execute the Grasa Mudra. Anyone know what the Grasa Mudra? It's a lotus mudra, resembling a full blossom lotus. Factually, one should execute the 5 mudras, beginning with the Prana Mudra with his right hand while chanting the 5 corresponding mantras that begin with Om and end in the 4th dative case and Swaha. Thereafter, one should touch the 2 thumbs with the adjoining index fingers, chant the appropriate mantras for offering, and execute the offering mudra before the Lord. The mantra to be chanted while executing the offering mudra is Taunama Paraya Avat Mane Nirudhoya Nivajam Talpayami. Persons who are engaged in devotional service to the Lord chant their worshipable mantra, Gayatri mantras, and execute the Grasa Mudra to offer foodstuffs, but they do not meditate on fire emanate from the lotus mouth of Hari. The main point is that they joyfully feed Sri Hari, according to Vaishnava etiquette. Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas 8th Vilas. So, I mean, when I make offerings, I just do it the way Prabhupada instructed me, which is I just have these 4 mantras. And the Gayatri mantra, to Giriraj. And actually, not all the Gayatri mantras, just the Gopal mantra, which is Giriraj's mantra. So Prabhupada has been very kind to us, you know. Prabhupada even said that we could distribute Gaura-type deities on Sankirtan, call them happy dolls, and instruct people that all you got to do is chant, put some little fruit in front of them and chant Hare Krishna, and then you're eating prasadam. So by Prabhupada's mercy, Prabhupada sometimes said that if you understood all the rules and regulations, you'd simply faint. I mean, you wouldn't find anyone able to do deity worship here or anywhere else, except for India. Some people in India are really into these things. And then also Prabhupada said, because here, these are quotes from the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Prabhupada actually said that Hari Bhakti Vilas is meant for India, not for the Western world. So sometimes we find people who want to apply the injunctions of Hari Bhakti Vilas, and some of them are things that Prabhupada never followed. In fact, Prabhupada did the opposite, that you're not supposed to eat carrots. Potatoes, carrots. Ooh. What are you going to do then? Finish, you're finished. I mean, there are injunctions like that, and then you find people who are very strict, and they even criticize Prabhupada. But Prabhupada, on Ekadasi, Prabhupada made carrot chutney, carrot halva, and tomato chutney and things like that. I think that, like Prabhupada said, these injunctions in the Hari Bhakti Vilas were mainly meant to attract ritualistic people in India. Prabhupada said a specific quote is they were influenced by Smarta conceptions. Smartism is generally considered deviant as far as Vaishnavism is concerned. Smartism means someone is really into rituals. I think they're going to go back to Godhead just by doing all the rituals properly. However, both Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, who worked on the Hari Bhakti Vilas, they considered it was important to attract the smartest to Krishna consciousness. As Prabhupada did when he installed the deities, the Krishna Balaram deities in Vrindavan, because Prabhupada invited the smarta brahmanas to do the sacrifice. But then Prabhupada said that it wasn't their mantras that installed the deities, it was the Harinam Kirtan that installed the deities. So we have to understand that, because we're chanting Hare Krishna. That mantra in and of itself contains all the other mantras.
Yeah.
So even if you're doing deity worship, and you happen to forget a mantra, now obviously basic mantras you shouldn't forget, like your guru's pranam mantra. Who's my guru? Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Shimate generic. How many? No, obviously those things you don't forget. But if there's forgetfulness of any other mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra contains everything. It's Purna Shuddha Nityamukto Vinatwam Amanamiyo. There's no harm. It's everything. Yeah, so obviously we're not going to be able, at least I am not going to be able to do these procedures. You know, what to speak of the mudras and everything like that. The only mudra I know is the Acharya mudra. And you don't want to use that one on the deities. That's offensive. You understand? It's like, yeah, something like that, like things like that. But if you point at the deities with the Acharya mantra, then you're committing an offense. Like when you go to see the deities, you're not supposed to. If someone says which one is Krishna, well, that's easy to see. That you can't. You have to go like that.
Yeah.
You can't go that. Who's your guru? That guy over there. No, you have to be really careful about certain mudras mean certain things. And it's interesting also the tantric people, they have obscene mudras, which we also have in the Western world, which I'm not going to demonstrate for you. That's part of the tantric procedures. They have mudras, the 5 M's, Panchamakara. Panchamakara. That means matsya. You know what matsya means? Fish. There's one injunction, I think it's in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, that anyone who eats fish, he's eating all fish. Yeah. Yeah, there's some injunction, one eats one fish, it's like eating all fish. As far as the karma is concerned. It's a heavy thing to eat fish. It says matcha, mudra, maitunya. Maitunya means like, illicit sex life. Madan, which means liquor, and mamsa, meat. So those are the 5 regulated principles for the tantrics. Yeah, they have to do it. I mean, they even do things like the eating out of a skull sometimes. Okay. Or they go to crematoriums on the full moon night to accomplish whatever they want. In the Jaiva Dharma, there's an interesting story about there was a great devotee, Brajanath, who wasn't yet a devotee. He was actually just engaged in Nyaya, logic and reasoning. And his opponents, one opponent wanted to defeat him, and he wanted to kill him. So he went to the crematorium on the full moon night, and he was offering obeisances or whatever, sacrifice to Durga, Vajrakali. And there was lightning and thunder and everything like that. And he heard a voice that Brajanath will no longer be teaching logic and reasoning. You don't have to worry about him. But then Brajanath became a devotee. And the way he became a devotee, such an interesting story, was that he heard that Nimai Pandit, that's Lord Chaitanya, was an expert logician before he took up Krishna consciousness. And he wanted to hear about the logic studies of Nimai Pandit. And so he just became enamored because of his attachment to material things, his attachment to logic and reasoning and philosophy and everything. So he just became enamored with Nimai Pandit. Why have I not been born to be able to see Nimai Pandit, because Lord Chaitanya previously passed from this world. And then his mother, or his grandmother, said, when he asked about Nimai Pandit, his grandmother said, Nimai Pandit likes sock, spinach. And so then every time he saw a sock, he started to meditate on Nimai Pandit. So by meditating on Lord Chaitanya, even for ulterior purposes, not even for spiritual purposes, he actually became a great devotee and renounced everything. Anyway, it's a nice story in the Jaiva Dharma by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Jaiva Dharma is such a wonderful book because in a story form, you can learn the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness. It's easy to digest. I mean, it's a lot easier than learning a lot of shlokas. So the acceptance of Shuklambara's rice is the proof of this. Therefore, devotion is the life of all rules. So here's the opposing viewpoint. First, there's the statement, you got to do all this stuff in order to offer. And then you have Shuklambara, who was just a poor, itinerant brahmachari, with ripped clothes and a bag full of chipped rice on his shoulder. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took it because it was devotion. So here's, this is the contrasting statement right here. First you have the rules. And then the statement is, therefore devotion is the life of all rules. Like that devotee who was offering banana peels to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Lord accepted. Or you offer one tulsi leaf unto the Lord, and the Lord will accept it. So devotion, or Shabari. She didn't do any of these mantras, did she? As far as I know. Her only mantra was The chewing mantra, you know.
Chewing mudra.
The chewing mudra, yeah, chewing mudra. Tastes good. Here it is. I can imagine if some disciple did it to me. There's a mad elephant said, "You are so moochy." And Lakshman was saying that. And Lord Ramchandra said, "No." She's doing it, and he relished it. So, anyway, so devotion is the life. Let's see, Shuklambra, Tandula, Brahmana, Pramana. Oh, here. This is interesting. You know, if you translate this Bengali, that Shuklambra's offering is a pramana. You know, so Sanskrit, I mean, the Bengali is quite interesting. Pramana means it's evidence, like Vedic evidence. Like we have this Shabda Pramana.
Yeah.
You understand? So his offering is actually evidence of the superiority of Advaita. In this way, Bhakti Prana, the life of Bhakti. Actually, it's really interesting. It doesn't really say, you know, the translation. I'm just giving a translation of the words here. Is that Bhakti Prana is the life of Bhakti. Or Bhakti is the life of rules. Yeah, oh yeah. Sakala Vidhira. So Bhakti is the life of all rules. Yeah, Bhakti Prana Vidhira. Bhakti is the life of all rules. That's pretty nice, isn't it?
Bhakti, of all the vidis.
Yeah, of all the vidis. Vidhira. It means over the vidis.
All the rules and
The rules. Bhakti is the life of all rules. Or devotion is the life of all rules. Okay, next one. All rules and regulations are servants of devotional service. So one who is distressed because of this is vanquished. In other words, one who gets too much into the rules and regulations, niyamagraha, and he doesn't understand that devotion is the main point, then he's vanquished. Vedavyasa stated that devotion is the root of all rules, and Gauranga has directly demonstrated this. Wow, I'm glad I read this portion, so I didn't get too upset. The Brahmana did not offer the rice with mudras, nor did he even offer it. Yet, nevertheless, the Lord eagerly ate it. Another story that comes into mind is the story of Raghunandana, the son of Mukunda. Mukunda was physician. Raghunandana was a small boy. Mukunda had to go somewhere, and he told his son, take care of the deities and make an offering. So Raghunandana made an offering, put the offering in front of the deities, and said, basically, eat. That was his mantra. Eat, eat. And the deity didn't eat. And then his mudra was the crying mudra. He started to cry, you have to eat. And he just the deity just got off the altar and said, all right. Guess I got to quiet this kid down, you know. And he ate. So it's the same thing. There were no mudras, there were no mantras. Yet, the deity ate. And when Mukunda came back, he asked the son, did you feed Krishna? And his son said, yes, but Krishna refused to eat in the beginning and then I had to threaten him. And his father was shocked. He said, this is nonsense. Krishna doesn't eat like that. He eats with mudras and mantras. And he said to his father, just watch. So his father stood outside the temple room watching the window or something. And he made an offering of some ladus. And the deity ate half of a laddu because he was full in his stomach. And the father at that point said, you are my father, and I am your son. And these are eternally liberated associates of the Lord. Nice story. Persons who are blinded by the pride of material enjoyment cannot understand this mystery. Intoxicated by their children, wealth, and family prestige, they cannot recognize a Vaishnava. Krishna never accepts the offerings and worship of one who ridicules a Vaishnava, considering him foolish or poor. Skip through the purport here. That Sri Hari is controlled only by his devotees and does not accept the worship of non-devotees is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam 4:31-21. I'll read the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes very dear to those devotees who have no material possessions but are fully happy in possessing devotional service of the Lord. Indeed, the Lord relishes the devotional activities of such devotees. Those who are puffed up with material education, wealth, aristocracy, fruitive activity, are very proud of possessing material things, and they often deride the devotees. Even if such people offer the Lord worship, the Lord never accepts them. All the Vedas sing, Krishna is the life and soul of those who have no material possessions. Of course, Queen Kunti also says, Akinchana Gochara. Isn't it? Janmaishvarya Shutashvashibir Airamana Adapaman. Twama Kinchana Gochara. You know, in this material world, we're very attached Janma to our good birth. Those of you who come from Sharma families. Any Sharmas here? Yeah. So we have one Sharma, then another Sharma, another Sharma. They're very proud of their birth. Yeah, I'm a Sharma. I remember in Fiji there was one head of all the different pundits. He was a Sharma, and he came in to do a death sacrifice. He went outside and was smoking cigarettes. This is not to criticize Sharma. Is any Trivedis here or Chaturvedis?
None.
Any other Brahmin caste people here?
Brahman.
Any other Brahmin caste people? By
Any
name?
Maharaj, like the surname Maharaj is also like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Maharaj.
What?
I'm Maharaj.
Oh, you're Maharaj and Sharma.
Both, yeah.
Woo! So that's Janma, and then Aishvarya, opulence. You know, I'm not going to ask who is opulent here, because then Krishna Chand will go after them. And he wants to build it, you know, hall for the temple. So then Aishwarya, and then you see like very rich people, like Elon Musk, for example. You know, they just don't. They have so many like girlfriends that don't take care of their dharmic things properly. Janmaishvarya, Shrutasha, you know, someone who's very learned. Anyone here have a PhD? No? Anyone here have a master's degree? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Janmaishvarya, Shrutasha, and then Sri Bir. I'm not going to ask who's beautiful. Because everyone will raise them. So we become very, like Ravan was very attached like that. So Janmaishvarya Shrutasha Shivir Enamana Dapuman Twama Kinchana Gochara. One has to understand that none of these things that we have, these so-called material opulences, of course these are impediments if we're not careful. So we have to understand, what is that verse? Isha Vasamidam Sarvam Yatkancha Jakajam Jagat Tena Jaktena Bunjarat Margaret Hakashasvidranam. That actually all belongs to Krishna. Krishna's just lending you. So we're very proud of our abilities. I mean, I know doctors who are very proud of their abilities. And they, sorry. And, not really. I only tease the people who have close relationships. Anyway, I can't get away with it with anyone else. So anyway, so we're very proud of our abilities, but Krishna is lending them to us. Krishna can take them away. I mean, I could be talking here about Krishna and all of a sudden, blah, 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 blah. You know, like you see sometimes people have strokes and different things like that. And so none of these things are permanent possessions. The material assets, none of them are permanent possessions of the soul. Our soul has permanent possessions, and that is service to Krishna. That's our only possession. Like Krishna said to the gopis, there's nothing I can give you in payment for your selfless sacrifice, so your own devotion will have to be a payment, the payment that you accept. Imagine if you had that between husband and wife, and the wife was saying, can I have some new saris? And then husband would say, there's nothing I can give you. Your devotion for me will have to be your only payment. That's a loving relationship. So anyway, let's continue. All the Vedas sing, Krishna is the life and soul of those who have no material possessions. Gauranga personally demonstrated this. So in other words, you don't consider anything to belong to you. Nirmana Mohajita Sangha Dasha. Nothing belongs to me. Everything belongs to Krishna. My ability, my strength, my knowledge, my wealth, whatever, my body, everything is yours. Manasa Deha Geha Yoga Shamor Apilam Tuya Padi Nanda Kishore. And this is actually the secret. Actually, this is interesting in the purport. It's actually a good purport. I mean, they're all good purports. But this is applicable for us. Krishna is the life and soul of those that kinchanas. That's the same thing, kinchana gochara, same thing from Queen Kunti's prayer, who have no attachment to any object in this world. The fact is sung by all the Vedas and the literatures and the pursuance of the Vedas. Gaurasundara was the acharya and preacher of this confidential Vedic truth. I'm just looking at the time. Through his devoted servants, the Lord revealed the significance of material conceptions and expertise in attracting the essence of the Vedas. Abstracting. Those who hear topics about the pastimes of Shuklambara and Gaurasundar have undergone the samskara of piercing their spiritual ears while rendering loving service at the feet of Chaitanya Deva. They become known as Gaudiyas, in the form of beggars in the temple of devotional service. But while identifying themselves as Gaudiyas, they do not try to commit suicide by remaining far away from the service of Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet, and thereby becoming averse to the service of Govinda. So in other words, if we think that we're possessing any of these opulences, then we're actually separating ourselves from Gaurasundara. It's really important. It doesn't mean we have to walk around like Shuklambara, Brahmachari, but we have to have the same mentality. This accepting, understanding the principles of Sharanagati. Understand the Lord is protecting one, understand the Lord is maintaining one, accepting what is favorable for devotional service, rejecting what is unfavorable for devotional service. Always being meek and humble, and have no separate interests other than the interests of the Lord. Yeah, so he attains unalloyed devotion. One who hears about this Lord ate Shuklambara's rice attains unalloyed devotional service at the feet of Lord Chaitanya. That's called a Shruti Pala. That's a technical word. Shruti Pala, fruit of Shruti, the fruit of hearing. So you'll find this oftentimes at the end of different chapters in the Vedic literatures. Accepting Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Wow. Thus ends the English translation of the Gaudiya Bhasha commentary on Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapter 16, entitled The Lord's Acceptance of Shuklambara's Rice. Okay, should we go ahead?
Yeah.
Chapter 17, the Lord's wandering throughout Navadvip and descriptions of the devotees' glories. So we skip the chapter summary because that gives away the whole chapter.
Who translated this? And the
Purports.
This is, I think his name is Bhumapati. I'm pretty sure.
Purports.
Wat Bhumapati. He's a disciple of Prabhupada. This is, the purports are written by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This is from the Veda base. If any of you are interested in reading along or reading it on your own, it's all in the Bhaktivedanta Veda base. At least the computer edition of the Veda base. I'm not sure if it's in the phone Veda base. It might be, it may not be. All glories to Mahaprabhu, Sri Gaura Sundara. All glories to Nityananda, whose body is the object of everyone's worship. The topics of Majja Khanda are like drops of nectar. By hearing these topics, one's atheistic mentality is vanquished. In this way, Lord Vishwambara kept his identity concealed while constantly performing Sankirtan in Navadvip. When the Lord wandered throughout the city, everyone who saw him thought he was Cupid himself. In ordinary dealings, the Lord appeared to be full of pride. Even atheists were frightened by seeing the strength of his knowledge. The Lord considered the Bhattacharyas, who were supposed to be learned in grammar, as no better than a blade of grass. Any Bhattacharyas here? Those are the grammarians, the ritualistic grammarians. In his own ecstasy, the Lord kept his identity covered as he wandered throughout the city in the association of his devotees. So in other words, he kept it covered for the general mass of people. His devotees knew who he was. The atheist said, "Oh, Nimai Pandit, you will soon receive an order from the king. You secretly perform kirtan at night and people constantly curse you because they cannot watch. The curses of the people will not prove false, but will soon bear fruit. We are telling you this as your well-wishers." The Lord replied, "So be it. Let your words come true, for I have a desire to meet the king. Since I studied all the scriptures at an early age, people consider me a child and do not challenge me. I do not find anyone to challenge me." Really prideful. "I wish to meet anyone who is prepared to challenge me." It's nice. The atheist said, "The king will listen to your kirtan. Because he is a Muslim, he does not care for scriptural debate." Considering the atheist is no better than a blade of grass, the Lord returned to his home. The Lord said, "Today I've talked to some atheists. Therefore, let us have kirtan so that my misery will be destroyed." As Mahaprabhu, the Lord of Vaikuntha, danced, all his servants surrounded him and sang. A couple of times the Lord stopped and said, "Oh, brothers, why am I not feeling any ecstasy today?" Another story about not feeling ecstasy. "Am I not feeling ecstasy because I talked to some atheists in the city today?" Look, long purport. "If I've insulted you in any way, please forgive my offenses and save my life." Advaita Prabhu, the great recipient of the Lord's mercy, frowned and danced as he said, "How will you feel ecstatic love when nada has drained you?" In other words, that's reference to the previous story where Advaita Acharya actually touched Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet. Because when someone touches your feet, it's sort of like they don't really take away your spiritual potency, but it's like generally considered they give you their bad karma and everything. So that's why when people touch my feet, I try to touch their head to give it back to them. They think I'm blessing them, but I'm just blessing them with my karma.
That's a secret.
Yeah. "I do not get love of God, neither does Srivas. You enjoy your pastimes of ecstatic love with oil millers and gardeners. Avaduta has become the servant of your love, while Srivas and I are left out." This is Advaita Acharya speaking. "We are not qualified to attain your love, while this Avaduta has come and become the Avaduta is Lord Nityananda, has come and become the storekeeper of your love. O Gokshami, If you do not award me your ecstatic love, I will dry it all up. Then do not blame me. These are the humorous relationships between the Lord and the other members of the Panchatattva. Acharya Goswami was maddened with Lord Chaitanya's love. He did not remember what he said or what he did. And this is why this could not take place in public, or outsiders see it.
Yeah.
It would they would have criticized the devotees. It's not appropriate. Krishna increases the glories of his devotees in all respects. They're able to sell him whenever they want, like Prabhupada did. For one who can sell Krishna by the influence of his devotional service, what is unusual about speaking in this way? Gaurachandra increases the glories of his devotees in various ways. Who can understand his mercy and punishment? As the Lord lamented, due to not receiving the happiness of ecstatic love, Advaita joyfully danced while clapping his hands. After listening to Advaita's words, Lord Vishwambara did not make any reply. The Lord suddenly opened the door and ran out. And Nityananda and Haridas ran after him. Thinking that there was no use in keeping a body devoid of love of God, the Lord jumped in the Ganges. As the Lord jumped into the Ganges, Nityananda and Haridas jumped in behind him. Nityananda quickly caught the Lord by his hair, and Haridas grabbed the Lord's lotus feet. These are amazing pastimes. The two then carried the Lord out of the water, whereupon the Lord said, "Why did you restrain me? For what purpose should I maintain this life, which is devoid of love of God? Why did you two hold me back?" So we should feel like that too. Not so dramatically. But, what is the use of my life if I don't have love of Krishna? If I'm not feeling happiness when I chant the Lord's holy name? The two trembled as they thought, what will happen today? Looking at Nityananda, Gaurachandra spoke. Why did you grab my hair? Nityananda replied. Why did you try to kill yourself? The Lord said, I know you are most restless. Nityananda then said, whoops. They're arresting us for having too much fun. Nityananda,
Fun behind closed doors.
what?
Fun behind closed doors.
Yeah. So you're too happy. You're too happy. We hear too many people laughing and having a good time. We think that you're all smoking something here. Someone's driveway is blocked?
Yeah.
Okay. Someone has to move their car.
Oh, they will.
Good. People should be conscious. We don't, just because we're devotees, we don't have the right to impede someone else's rights.
Yeah.
That's not our right. We should respect everyone. Manina, manadena. It's really important. Sometimes devotees think, they think because we're devotees, we can get away with anything.
Yeah, that's true.
The Lord said, I know you're most restless. Nityananda then said, Oh Lord, please forgive me. Do you want to give up your body because of someone that you can easily punish? If servants speak something out of pride, does their master take their lives? Filled with devotion, Nityananda shed tears of love for Lord Chaitanya, who was everything for him, his life, wealth, and friend. The Lord said, Listen, Nityananda and Haridas, do not tell anyone that you have seen me. Tell everyone that you did not see me, you follow this order of mine. Today I will hide here. If you tell anyone, then do not blame me for the consequences. After speaking in this way, the Lord went to the house of Nanda and Acharya. Following the Lord's order, the two kept this a secret. Absorbed in love for Krishna, the devotees all became full of distress when they were unable to receive any news about the Lord. They thought the worst. The Lord Chaitanya dove into the Ganges and nobody could find him. They began to cry due to feelings of intense separation. No one said anything as their hearts burned. Everyone felt that they'd been struck by a thunderbolt. And Advaita, the Lord of Shantipur, thought himself a great offender. Feeling that he committed an offense, Advaita Prabhu went home and fasted due to intense separation from the Lord. Filled with lamentation, everyone returned to their homes with the treasure of Gauranga's lotus feet bound in their hearts. The Lord arrived at Nanda and Acharya's house, where he sat down on the throne of Lord Vishnu. Seeing that most auspicious personality had arrived at his house, Narendra Acharya offered obeisances by falling flat on the ground. He quickly brought new clothes for Sri Sachinandana, who then changed his wet clothes. Nandanacharya offered argya and fragrant oils, as well as sandalwood paste and flower garland prasad. He decorated the Lord's body with sandalwood paste. He then brought camphor and betel nuts and offered them to the Lord, who happily ate his devotees' offerings. The Lord forgot all his distress by the service of the pious Nandana Acharya, who sat there offering betel nuts. The Lord said, "O Nandana, listen to me. Today you should hide me here." Nandana replied, "O Lord, this is very difficult. Where can you hide yourself within this world? You should not hide in the hearts of the living entities. The devotees expose you even from there. You could not. How can one who could not hide in the ocean of milk hide in an open society?" After hearing the words of Nandanacharya, the Lord smiled. He passed that night in Nandana's house. The fortunate Nandanacharya spent the entire night discussing the unlimited topics of Krishna with the Lord. As they relished topics of Krishna, the entire night passed like a moment. Then the Lord saw that dawn had broken. The Lord punished Advaita in this way, but ultimately he felt great compassion for him. Looking at Nandanacharya, the Lord instructed him, "Go and bring Srivas Pandit alone." Nandanacharya quickly went to Srivas's house and returned to the Lord with Srivas. On seeing the Lord, Srivas Pandit began to cry out of love. The Lord said, "Do not worry." In compassion, the Lord asked him, "Tell me, how is Advaitacharya doing?" So this is the ultimate guilt trip, isn't it? Having Advaitacharya thinking that he was responsible for the Lord's demise. Wow. "You are asking for more news?" Srivas Pandit asked. "Yesterday Advaitacharya fasted. He's surviving only because he is destined to. Please show yourself to him and save him. If someone else had punished him, we would have tolerated it. O Lord, you alone are our life and soul. Yesterday in lamentation we thought that without you, O Lord, why should we maintain our lives? You have given punishment like you said you would. Now please come and show your mercy." After hearing Srivas's words, the most merciful Lord went to see Advaitacharya. When the Lord came and found Advaitacharya was practically unconscious, he considered himself a great offender. After previously receiving the Lord's mercy, Advaita would wander about like that. He was intoxicated with pride, but after being punished by the Lord, his body trembled. On seeing his condition, the merciful Lord said, "O Acharya, get up and see. It is I, Vishwambara." Advaita was ashamed to say anything. In ecstatic love, he meditated on the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord again said, "Get up, Advaitacharya. Don't worry. Get up and perform your duties." Advaita said, "O Lord, you inspired me to act the way I did. Whatever you are saying to me now is all an external show. You always treat me in such a way that I become proud, and as a result I suffer. O Lord, you have awarded everyone else the topmost mood of service, but you show me reverence. You yourself inspire me, and then you punish me. You speak one thing and think another." Phew, these are the interesting interactions. And remember, Advaitacharya and Lord Chaitanya are the same person. But because of Yogamaya, they are identified as two different people. "You are my life, wealth, body, and mind, yet still you give me misery. This is your opulence. O Lord, please give me the mood of service and keep me at your feet as the son of your maidservants." I think we'll end here. And we can take questions. We stop sharing. Okay, does anyone have any questions about anything we read today? Such an interesting section, isn't it? Questions, comments, problems, challenges? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful class. I just wanted to ask, you mentioned that bhakti is the life of all rules.
That's something I mentioned.
Yes.
That's
yes.
mentioned in the
Yeah, and
verse.
devotion is the life of all rules.
Yeah, bhakti and devotion is the same thing, yeah.
And I'm just wondering, with the deity worship in temples, why are they so complicated with so many mantras? Why not
I
just the four
refuse to
mantras?
answer on the grounds that may tend to incriminate me. long as the Sringakavacha is not watching, I can answer that question. That's a good question, and I don't have an answer for it. My experience is, the more you make the deity worship rules complicated, then the less people will be interested in doing deity service. So if you look again strategically why we have deities, it's not for Krishna's benefit, although the devotees worshiping the deity should think it's for Krishna, the maternal or paternal mood. But the reason we have deities is for our benefit and the benefit of the public. And so Prabhupada, if you looked at the way Prabhupada installed the deities, which is really interesting, like I was just watching some video, Prabhupada installed the deities in France. He basically had these plastic buckets, you've seen that before? And he bathed the deities like that. And of course, with the Panchamrita, Panchagavya, like that, which is nice. And it's basically just the Mangalacharna prayers. And everything's become much more complicated, not just the deity worship, but the fire sacrifice, initiation, and everything like that. And even the Antyeshti, the funeral ceremonies and everything's become just like super sophisticated. And when you do that, you're sort of ruling out the general mass of people from participating in those activities. And you're restricting those activities to those who are more ritualistically inclined. And now whether that's a good idea or not is another point. Because I know if I go to certain temples, I would never go on the altar because their rules and regulations are just like too heavy for me. I mean, I lived for years in Los Angeles where I was working for the BBT, helping produce Prabhupada's books in Spanish. So I would never go on the altar there. Whereas previously I had worshipped Radha and Krishna in the Temple of San Diego, in Chicago, as a brahmachari. And it was just very sweet. But because of my mind, and I'm not saying this is true for everybody, because in my mind, if I get into too many complicated things, then devotion flies out the window. Because, I'm just like, my mind is more simple. I mean, my mind is complex when it comes to science and everything like that. Then I can get into elaborate descriptions of microbiology and all that nice, cool stuff. But when it comes into like ritualistic or repetitive behavior, OCD, no, I have to be careful. It's not all OCD, but to me it's like that, just like, what are you doing it for? Do you actually remembering the meaning of all those mantras when you say them? Are you meditating on the mantras, meditating on the meaning of the mantras while you're saying them? Or are you just like doing it because you have this whole list of mantras that you have to say in order to offer the bhoga so you can get a chance to eat?
Maybe you want to share your experience when you were doing the temple opening in Suva?
In Suva? Oh, yeah, I could tell that story. When I was doing the temple opening in Suva, the deity installation, and I was on the main altar, Radhagolok Bihari. And so, I mean, obviously I don't know any of these mantras. I don't even know how many circles to do around how many circles. I mean, I could barely pick up the incense stick. I could do that. So all I know is you look at the deity and you do the circles around there and you think, Krishna, please accept. That's all I know. That's all my little brain will accommodate. So anyway, so we were at this temple opening, and this nice devotee, Nishinga Kavacha, was my good friend. He was watching. Not only watching, he said, "You got to do it this way, Maharaj." And I said, the only way I'm going to do it this way, if you sit at my feet, so I'm the pujari, and there's a guy, Nishinga Kavacha, is sitting right at my feet. And each time I take the article, and I light the incense. Thank goodness. What am I supposed to do now? You heard this story before. He said, okay, do it that way. Okay. And so that was the only time I did a proper RT. according to all these different procedures like that. So I guess for some people it's necessary. Some people like it. I mean, I don't want to take that away from people. Some people get into so many rules and regulations. I mean, even apart from the deity worship, we have in ISKCON we have a deity worship ministry. We have a kirtan ministry. So this year, the kirtan minister wanted to publish rules on how to have kirtan, and one of those rules were, thank God it didn't get passed. Was actually two of the rules. One rule was that when you're chanting Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar, no one in the audience is allowed to say Nityananda or Gauranga. It's prohibited.
Yeah. Got it.
You heard that before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we say it.
We say it.
I say it too. Can you imagine? No, someone's saying Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Chaitanya.
Nityananda. Nityananda, it's wow, what are you trying to do? Keep everybody from being happy? So anyway, so he's a kirtan minister. And then another rule he wanted to pass is no one can use alapas. You know what alapa is, yeah. No, alapa.
Alapa, yeah.
Alapa. Hare Krishna.
No one is allowed.
Yeah, you know what that is.
Yeah.
That's a South Indian thing.
Yeah.
Straight singing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. I mean, even I use the lapas sometimes. So, there's just like, oh my God, what movement have I joined now?
The military.
I mean, I joined the movement. I was a head pujari after 1 week in the movement because we had a picture, Panchatatva picture, and I was in ecstasy. And it's just like, whatever I was doing with incense and flowers, I don't even remember, but it was fun. And and I do service for Radha and Krishna, but on Janmashtami I do the midnight arti and everything like that. It's fun. So that's me. At the same time, other people want to do it a certain way, and I don't, that's their prerogative. I mean, certain things I think need training and are actually more complicated, like how to make a turban, which I never figured out. But that's my deficiency. It's important to have a good turban. When I was dressing the deities, Radha and Krishna, I'd have someone else make the turban. Because it's like, and they didn't like the way I was dressing the deities either. Eventually I got kicked off the altar because I was too wild. Like I was dressing Krishna in the forest of Vrindavan, and I'd go out in the jungle and pick all the trees and put them on the altar. So you had all these like branches and trees and leaves on the altar. It was beautiful. I'd go out and buy all these plastic birds and monkeys. So it definitely looked like the forest of Vrindavan. And the head pujari, she just basically said, you can't put a bird on the altar because it may pass stool. Especially you can't put it over Krishna's head,
It's a live bird, man.
No, plastic.
Those are the
I
transcendental
mean,
birds.
even I had so much devotion, I would paint them myself, paint the birds myself. I really got into it. But also, it was very disturbing for the pujaris because they would have to clean up after me. When in the evening when they changed the clothes.
Yeah.
Oh, the altar. Yeah, it was just like, oh my God, what did this guy do? But, my mood is being more like spontaneous and loving with Krishna, talking to Krishna. One thing was very interesting, personal relationship with Krishna, with the deities. When I first joined the movement, in certain places every week, all the devotees there'd be a kirtan, and each devotee would go up individually and talk to the deities and tell the deities what they did this week, what their objective was the following week. It was very sweet, because everyone developed a personal relationship with the deities. You know, it was a kirtan, went on for a half hour, 45 minutes, and everybody, it's your turn, you go up before the deities.
That's nice.
So I think the personal relationship, of course, we don't want to throw away the rules and regulations. Obviously, so we should wear a dhoti, a sari on the altar, be clean, tilak, tilak, clean their feet. Obviously, cleanliness and punctuality. That's the important thing. And nice bhog offerings. 3 different things. And consider the kitchen is Radharani's kitchen. Someone argued with me about that the other day. Someone argued, they said, no, it's not Radharani's kitchen, it's Yashoda's kitchen. Oh my God. People that are so picky-uni get into details. You heard that argument?
It wasn't me.
No, it wasn't her.
It was on Facebook.
It was on Facebook, yeah.
We saw the post.
It's Yashoda's kitchen. I understand. Yashoda may own the kitchen, but it belongs to Radharani. Everything in Vrindavan belongs to Radharani. Vrindavaneshwari. So I think it's time to end. There's just one question online. So devotees should be naturally detached. Sometimes there's a hippie mentality about things, if you please speak. Yeah, obviously there's a balance. It's not that we should look like Shuklambara or Brahmachari. We should look nice because we're representing Krishna. One who is the servant of the king should dress in the kingly fashion to represent the king. Okay, it's time. We got a full day schedule today. Thank you all very much. Interesting class today.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting